Good to have you on the show today. My name is Omobola Stephen. Welcome to the show. My podcast really focuses on self-development and personal improvement topics with the occasion of an incredible guest who've come to the show to share their insight on topics or subjects on the personal development. Now, my guests have been incredible and amazing sharing their insight, which are profound, both industrial insight, personal experience, and also the business side of the story. Today, I have Andre Paradis, who is a coach, teacher, educator, mentor, and public speaker. Now, Andre is here to talk about building healthy relationships. I know you and I are interested in subjects like this. Welcome to the show with me today, Andre Paradis.
Thank you, darling. Nice to be here. Absolutely.
All right. Nice to have you on the show, Andre. Now, I'm looking forward to your professional insight on the topic of discussion, especially about relationships right now. Andre, why does relationship tend to be a power struggle?
Well, in our culture, we, you know, if we go back to the way it used to be, right, and before the 50s, before the Second World War, like there was very specific roles for men and women. There was very little freedom of choice. Women were mothers and wives, and men went to work, and that was sort of the normal way to do it. We were bound by beliefs in a culture, religion beliefs. Women didn't have sex before marriage. That was a terrible thing back then, right? And men, in order to get married, had to be valuable. They had to have something to offer and be able to support a woman. That was like the way it used to be. So very little freedom, but structured that allow society to grow and build, because marriage and relationships were always for the children, stable environment for the children. That was the idea of marriage: stabilize and just, raise some children, some healthy children. So, but after the sexual revolution, and when the pill was introduced to the world, where women were free sexually to be able to, not be so responsible, if you want to put it that way, with the fact that pregnancy was now not something they were so worried about, and they sexually got free. We started changing all the rules, which is normal. It's great. So, women started wanting to be more free, men. Well, also different choices. Now we have a lot more choices. You don't have to be a housewife. You could be a woman in the world. You could be a working woman. You could have some independence that way, right? Women were always dependent on men. So now, so that was an interesting thing. That was fantastic. So, and then not so bound by religion and, morals, right? That kind of is loosened. Like we started like letting go of the rigidity of the framework. So freedom, 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 more choice, more choice, more choice. And that's all great, except we did not adapt to the change very, very well. It's kind of happened really quickly. We're talking about 60 years. If you consider we've been in this framework for millennia, 60 years is just a bleep on the screen. So we've not adapted to these new ways of operating, and really so when we change all the rules, chaos. And so now the belief system in the world is equality. It's about equality between men and women is the fair game. However, in that, there's a lot of, when we make women strong, independent, and powerful, which is great for business and opportunities, it's great, but typically, it sort of becomes who you are. You're a strong, independent, powerful woman in the world, right? And now we try to like soften men, because men are dangerous and big and toxic. So, so we like be sweet, be sensitive, be talkative, right? Be kind. Don't tell your woman what to do, right? It's not cool anymore. We don't do it that way. You're not the man in charge of her. So as we did this, now we have women who are empowered, and we men who don't necessarily have the right to be empowered with women. And now we have what's happening to me, and what I see every day, if we have the sort of a man-on-man approach. Now, again, at work, it's fine, but in love relationship, a regular male, men don't date men. Do you know what I mean? Like, so energetically, if you're a woman who wants to compete in the world and be, independent and be strong and powerful, which is great, but when you bring that in a relationship, men go, hey, whoa, right? Like, so that's the problem. So the power struggle that we see all the time, that I see all the time, is my job every day.
I really understand where you're coming from, Andre. Yeah.
So that is what I see, the power struggle.
I understand what you're talking about, because we need to balance it, right? I understand what we're talking about. We need to balance it as women. We women really we love freedom, right? We want independence. That's just our nature, right? That's how we're wired. But in terms of relationships, right? In terms of building a healthy relationship with your partner, a
Yep.
woman needs to, not really, come down to being like a doormat, right? But in the sense that you
I
have to
didn't.
just,
No.
identify with the position of your husband or your partner, right? And then
Mhm.
show and understand that is a man of authority, and be able to dance to the tune in order to just find the balance and ensure that you have a worthwhile relationship at the end of the day. I think that's very important.
That is, but that's the game, right? But no, people believe, no, that's not fair. You can't do that, right? So, like, he has no right to tell me what to do. He has no right to,
Sure.
like,
Now
and
let's
even,
talk about men and commitment, right?
oh yeah, that's
All right.
so.
We want to talk about men and commitment. So what are the women missing out?
All right, well, so again, cultural belief out there that men don't want to commit, right? Men don't want to commit. If you leave them alone, they're never going to commit. They don't want to commit. They don't want to commit. They want to commit, right? That's like so not true. That is so such a lie. And I'll tell you how that works. Because men understand, from my perspective with men, because a lot of men's work too, that men understand commitment much more than women understand commitment. Women do not understand commitment. And I'll explain, right? So commitment for a man, and for most men that are masculine, by the way, my world is not all men are man. In my world, there's three types of men. That's the first thing I teach my ladies. There is no such thing as, man, as in like there's different types of men. And some men don't want to step up, some men don't want to work, some men don't want to do the right things, some men don't want to support women. Well, in my world, I call them boys. That's not a man. So powerful women often end up with boys and they resent boys because boys don't want to do anything. And she ends up taking care of him, making his life better. That is not what I'm talking about. When I'm talking about man, it's man, masculine men who are naturally man are different beasts. So real men, I hate to say it this way, but real men are all about commitment, which means our operating system is commitment from moment to moment. So, which means if I, just for me to get up to go to work, have to be committed to get up and going to work. Everything I do, I have to commit to. I cannot turn around without committing to doing it. You understand? For us, commitment is like the action needed to make things happen. That's commitment. I commit to my job. I commit to my wife. I commit to my children. I commit to my household. I commit to my responsibilities. I commit to get in the car and get out to work on time. I commit to do my job properly. Everything we do is about commitment. So it's not commitment that men don't understand or afraid of at all. It's the exact opposite. It's the commitment, let's say, with a relationship is a huge deal. And what men do, because we all very quickly understand this, that a great woman has the potential to help you and do a great life together. A bad woman is hell. So men will wait and watch you and take their time getting to know you slowly to see if life's going to be great or life's going to be hell. That's it, right? So, because it's a huge deal. Because at the same time, when he commits to you, I say it like this, and it's going to sound weird, but I don't know how else to explain it. That when a man takes a commitment, a wife, let's say, or even a girlfriend, that's on him. He's going to hold himself accountable for this. So it's like taking a backpack on. Like now I'm wearing the backpack. It's my job. She's my girl, right? I have to take care of her. I have to make time for her. I have to right? So, and some men aren't ready for that. The boys don't want to do that as opposed to the man. But a man will be really careful about how much he takes on that way because it's the rest of his life. Because I would say this, when a man commit to a woman, as in marriage, he's not trying to get away from that. It's such a big, big decision that he's going to do everything in the world to make this work, especially if that kid. Men don't leave very easy. Men leave eventually when they realize that they can't make her happy. This is always the same phrase. I can't make you happy. Everything I do is not right. Everything I do is wrong. Everything I do is not pleasing you. I can't make you happy. To a man, a committed man, is torturous. So they'll say something like, I can't do it, so I'm going to let you go. And you go find you Mr. Perfect, because obviously it's not me. And they're heartbroken. This is when they give up on the commitment.
All right. Now, talking about the men surrendering, like, I can't do this any longer because I can meet up your needs now. So does that mean, or does it infer that this is the more reason, or this is the main reason why some men walk away in a relationship, because they're tired, of just filling the blank spaces, and there seems to be no response, there's no contribution on the other part, or no appreciation? Does that mean that is the reason why men tends to walk away from a relationship, or they become the man that is no longer providing, no longer caring, and no longer protecting?
Well, like I said, if you have a boy, he's not providing, he's not protecting, he's not doing anything. A lot of women are marrying boys thinking, well, he's sweet and sensitive and he's good. And kids sort of like, he lets me do what I need to do. So boys are not men. So sorry. So women that are married to boys is a whole different world, a whole different story, a whole different set of circumstances. When you realize that you're his mom and you have to do everything and he doesn't want to do anything and you're paying for him and he tries to work, but he can't, his boss is he quits. Like, men are emotional. Like, men are not emotional. Men are thinking everything through. Boys are very emotional. I don't feel like it. Why don't you get a job? I don't feel like it. Right? That's not a man. So a lot of women wound up with boys, and think they have a man, and they resent the heck out of him because he's a noodle and everything's on her, right? And she is usually the one, leaving him because he's unbearable, right? But real man. Again, I want to say this: it's a big difference. Don't leave, especially if they have children. In order for him to leave, it's literally the words that they use. I just said it. I can't make you happy. And that's like torture. It's torture. And they go, I had one man actually that sacrificed his own happiness, because we're not really attached to this as much as you are, ladies. But his wife was out of control, whatever that means. I'm not going to make her, but she was not well, out of control, and like life in the house was insane and hell. And like there's nothing he could do to help. But he was the enemy. He was the bad guy. But he refused to leave her. Or he refused to leave because he knew that she was going to damage the children. So he stayed for an extra 10 years, being miserable to protect his children. That's what men do. I'm just saying. So they leave, they leave not on a whim. They leave if they're committed because they can't make it work, and that's torture. That's
See, I love your perspective, Andre.
that's what I see.
Right. Now let's look at it this way. You're talking about men sticking, right? They don't want to leave, or probably most times because of the children, right? Now the men don't want to leave, right? But how about them choosing to still flirt around or have a fling outside?
Wait, one more time. I didn't get that.
Now you talk about men, right, wanting to cling, right, to the relationships, especially when they have the children, right, to take
Yeah.
take care
Yeah.
of.
Yeah.
It gives more commitment. So how about a man deciding, like, fine, I can walk away from this relationship, right, because I'm so addicted, or so bonded, or because of the children, I'm so committed. But then I can choose to have flings or have a girlfriend outside.
What
What do you
about
say to
like
that?
I say to that? That's not really cool either. That's not the commitment. That's not it at all, right? But some guys will justify it that way. You know what I mean? So she wants nothing to do with me, but I want to stick around for the children. You could have a girlfriend. Like, this commitment is already finished in his head, by the way. Like, if he's going to stick around just to protect the children, not pretend that she's okay, that everything's okay with them. That's a different story, right? And people will do all kinds of crazy things, in the name of if justifying things for themselves. Just so you know, because no one ever talks about this. Women cheat exactly as much as men do. No one ever talks about this. It's true. It's not funny. It's true. Like, my man
No,
is like
it's funny.
51.7 or 52.1 of men will cheat, and 47.9 of women. Like, it's the same thing. 50-50. Here he goes, you 50-50, right? But nobody talks about this, right? It's always him. No. So I don't, that whole cheating stuff really sort of gets me irritated, because nobody considers, that everybody's doing it. For what reason? Everybody's got their reason. Everybody's got their excuse. Everybody's got I think. So what I'm talking to you about is like the generally what's happened, because not everybody, obviously, when I say men, it's not 100% of men. When I say women, it's not 100% of women. We're all different. However, we all have streaks inside of us, right? When I talk about a real man, 80% of real man will respond this way. When I talk about women, normal, healthy, not sick in the head people, they respond this way to relationships. So that's what I'm talking. So I'm making generalization here, and there's everything in between. But as a rule, right, healthy people, men and women, respond this way, want this way, react this way. And then we got everything else in between, the 20%, and everything else in between that people justify. Just saying. But
right.
that's
So
my world.
talking about intimacy now, because I know that there's a big issue in relationships, especially marriages, tending towards from 5 years, 10 year upwards, right? The intimacy thing, it's no longer interesting in the relationship. So what is the good cause of all this? And is there a way out?
Well, people take each other for granted. Is I think what I see a lot. You know what I mean? Like, so in the beginning you made efforts. You made efforts. You kind of kept the fire going. There's often children will kill that because having children, becoming a mother is not sexy, right? Becoming a mother is not sexy. You know this. You have four. You know what I mean? So, and when the kids are babies, right? When kids are babies, it takes all your energy, everything you have. So when you have nothing left, and you're, haven't washed, taken a shower for 2 days, that's not very sexy.
And you're still going to take care of yourself and also, ensure that your career is in place.
and all of that, right? So it's a big load. So people often, this is what I see, like stop, like sort of stop the dynamic between each other. Everybody's tired, everybody's working, everybody's busy, and she's right there and he's right there. And so and it's also a natural phenomenon that happens is the more contacts you have together, the more you depolarize energy together. So overexposure to each other, often kind of neutralize the dynamic. So people just go along like it's no big deal, and she's always there or he's always there, and sort of don't really keep things going or the fire going, and that becomes.
So what is that a way out? What are you suggesting?
Start dating each other again. Don't stop dating, right? Keep lighting the fire. I mean, my wife and I together 27 years. Sunday nights want a date every Sunday night. Every Sunday night want a date. No children. We have two, right? Like this is our time once a week. Through COVID, it was fantastic through COVID because you can go in the restaurant. I go, no, we're not stopping that. I'm not doing this, So we live in California, which is fortunate because the weather's always good. I would take you to our favorite restaurant, order it to go. They would give it to me outside on the parking lot, and we're in the back of the restaurant, in the alley, in the dark, in the trunk of my car with 2 chairs, 3 for a table, and the light of the car, the light of the trunk would actually light up our little table, and the music's in the car, completely romantic, in the dark outside. That's how we did it, right? So we're dating. We're still sort of dating,
Awesome.
So that's the dance. You can't just say, well, oh, it's you again. He comes home at the end of the day, oh yeah, it's you again. Oh, by the way, you left the lights on last night. you can't
Right.
you can't start talking to each other like and taking each other for granted. That's where people make the mistake. That's what
Andre, let's be real, it's tough work, right? It's tough work.
Absolutely.
It's easier said than done, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, times are really challenging, right?
Yes.
Everybody's trying to make ends meet, and also most people now really tending towards focusing on their health, right? Because you want to balance your work, balance your personal life, balance the home front, right? And also career and stuff like that, and then you're still considering your health. So how do you think you can keep up being the good husband or being the good wife in the marriage? Do you think it's easy?
It's not easy. Of course it's not easy, but you have to realize this is what we all do, and that's the part that people go, oh, things have changed between us. Well, get it. You spend most of your days somewhere else, with spending the best part of you at work, giving all that good energy, all that good aliveness to everybody else. And then you get on the road coming home and you spend more energy trying to get that done. And by the time you come home, you have nothing left. So everybody else, all the strangers get the good part of you. And at the end of the day, people get nothing or the leftovers. And we wonder why it's not working, right? Both people do this, by the way, if you're both working. That's a problem. Now, again, how do you fix this? You have to make a priority that we are not going to be taking each other for granted. We're going to spend some time making sure that we, don't become these people. So some people, interesting, some people have done stuff like, instead of, some once in a while you call into work late because you don't feel well. So listen, I'll be in at 10 o'clock. I don't feel well today, right? So you call in and it's fine. Well, put that in on purpose, right? Call in late. She calls in late. We'll be at 10 o'clock and spend 10 hours, 2 hours together. Like in the morning when you're happy, energized, alive, have breakfast together and just see what happens and connect, like really, really kind of plan your space and time for the sake of both of you. Like, because when people don't realize often that relationships are completely connected to quality of life. We take them for granted. We go in the world trying to be champions and fight and push and make money and blah, blah, blah. We forget each other, right? And all of a sudden, somebody has an affair sometimes, or somebody's disappointed sometimes. Somebody says, this is enough for me sometimes. Somebody says, my life's supposed to be better than this. And then you realize when things fell apart, that out there is even worse right now, trying to find somebody who wants what you want and be in a relationship. And then, oh, wait, you know what I mean? Like, just because they neglected the thing. It's not easy, but you have to understand you can't take it for granted. Right. And if you think you can do better, because you're not as happy as you think you should be, go check it out there. And we'll get back. And if people go, oh my God, I should have stuck it out. I hear this all the time. I should have stuck it out. It was actually not that bad. We just needed to communicate more. We needed to renegotiate more. I needed to tell him a little bit more what I needed, but we lost touch. And I thought, you take it personal, you think it's your fault, you think it's his fault, but nobody freaking talks. So that's the problem in my world. This is what I see. And stop giving.
Thank you, Andre Paradis, for your expert and professional insight on the subject of relationships today. I really had a great time. Now, do you have any projects you're working on?
Well, I constantly want, so I do private coaching. I do couples coaching. I do small group coaching. I do an event every 3 months, a live event that is really, really cheap. It's just connecting you to the work that I do. So if people want to be in touch with that, any of this stuff, you could actually go to Andre. Oopsie, I'm blanking. I just have a Zoom page that I created. Hold on, right here. I just created because it's so simple that I don't want to mess it up. This is called it's on www.Andre Group Coaching, and it will take you to my calendar. And what I'm offering you listeners is, if you make an appointment, on my calendar, we'll have a conversation about what's not working. Typically, people come to me when there's something's not working, right? You don't go to the doctor when everything's good. You come to the doctor with something that's not working. So if you have, we can have a conversation about what's not working, what is it that you want, and how I can help. And so with that, then I'll introduce you to the rest of the work, like the small group, the other group, and kind of put you on my list, and then you'll be connected to everything that I do, in my programs throughout the year. So again, AndreGroupCoaching.com, and my website is projectequinox.net. That's another way to get to me. Project Equinox, EQUINOX.net, N-E-T, not com, .net. And that takes you to my website, and there's blogs, there's videos, there's YouTube videos, there's articles that I wrote, there's a lot of podcasts that I've done. I've done men's podcasts as well, take podcasts for men. That for women is fascinating because you get an insight on how we think, how we talk, right? Good stuff. So there's a lot of stuff there. And again, from there, you could actually always email me.
Right.
And
Right.
No, it's in a Instagram, Project Equinox Instagram. I have a Facebook, Project Equinox. So there's plenty of ways. If you go to the website, you'll be able to find everything. And you can spend the afternoon, playing there. It's kind of cool. But again, I'm offering anybody listening, if they're curious, a free call, an hour breakthrough call, I call it, and we can have a conversation.
Right. Thank you once again, Andre Paradis, for your time on the show. I really had a great time, and the topic for discussion today was really worthwhile. Right.
Thank you. I appreciate that. That's what I do. It is really,
I
really
can only wish
fun.
you the best of luck in all your future endeavors. Thank you for
Thank
joining me
you.
on the show once again, audience. Really had a blast with Andre Paradise, right? Remember, you can catch up any of my missed episodes on social media platforms, right? Facebook, my Instagram page, my LinkedIn page, and all. You can go online and search for Omobola Stephen on any podcast distribution platforms, and you're going to have a really amazing time listening to the talk show. Be motivated. Till I come your way, I need it to be good. Talk to you soon.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you, Andre.